Forsooth. I think it is Monday, and Monday is Monday Fun Day, which I get to talk about things. Monday Fun Day, I get to talk about whatever I want, and whatever I want has just equated to me talking about my world building, specifically for a project that I'm working on called Crow Story, which will one day perhaps be a webtoon / novel-y thing. What's being worked on right now is the Books of Avo, which will eventually also be a webtoon. However, it isn't yet. That's why it's being worked on in front of you right now. I guess if you see this in the future, maybe it does exist. But if you're not from the future, you can still read the Books of Avo because they came out as a novel already. It's 1920s gay dragon writers. I love it. You will probably love it too if you also like gay dragons. So that's my pitch. And if you also like what's being drawn here, try and suss it out yourself. If you want to check it out, do so on Etsy or itch.io, because heck, Amazon, I don't really like it. It's stinky. Okay, so today we're going to talk generally about a province. Once again, we've been talking a lot about the different provinces that exist within my fanciful little world building world for Crow Story. And we're going to talk about a province that exists within the divine kingdom of the Lindworm. I guess it's a territory called Feymouth. Feymouth is a very, very large region that is divided and controlled by various lords, ladies, and their families. Like most nobility, they're almost exclusively divine mages, and what that means is that they have the divine element. So this world has 12 elements in it, and you are either a mage or you are a furry, and you exist on a spectrum based on whatever element is your base element. So yeah, Feymouth is full of divine mages that are the lords and ladies. So I guess in a way it's not really full of them. They don't make up a large portion of the population by any means. They're just kind of the nobility. Feymouth is actually more full of fauns, so animal people. And also, further south into Feymouth, into the hot, dry regions, there's a lot more, common elves. So that's, people that aren't necessarily mages, but they don't have, full furry anthro features of any kind. Maybe just, a few, fanciful little fun ears, I guess. Anyways, most of the regions that exist within Feymouth, they are regions full of, people that have been taken over by the might of the divine kingdom. Lords are then expected to oversee the conversion of the populations that they've taken over. They are expected to collect taxes. Sometimes that means resources. A lot of the times it means resources. And subordinates to the lords then are offered further divisions of the land. So there's a main lord and then there's sub-lords, I guess. It's all very feudal. All of these lords, they don't always get along. There's lots of disputes and hurt feelings. That's one way to put it, I guess. And to keep things cool and ease tension, there's a lot of arranged marriages, betrothals, and whatever. And those are used to ease relationships, and conflict still does occur. And for the most part, it's fine. A little conflict, that's life. However, grabs for power and trying to expand your little lorddom too far, or hoarding vast amount of land without any sort of nobility status worthy of having that much land. You're not noble enough to be owning that much land. That is not good, and that is when the Divine Kingdom itself will step in and punish. The royal family will punish people who are doing power grabs beyond what they're allowed, basically. So the royal family has some very powerful mages at its disposal, and they are used kind of to make examples of rulers, and they can just damage reputations for years to come. The way that they often do this, because like when the Divine Kingdom steps in, it's because they're very mad. So what they do to a lord that they do not like is that they will turn them into a fawn. They will use like alchemy, which is like separate from magic. I go into it in another video, which exists in a playlist that I have, so you can check that out. But they basically use alchemy to abjure their magic. So that means get rid of their magic. That's a fancy way of putting it. So they're turned into fawns, their magic is ruined, they can never be mages again, and this ability to do so, this ability to abjure magic, is only really understood by the royal family, so that's why they have a lot of power. Well, one of the many reasons why they have a lot of power. And yeah, so they're turned into fawns, their family is turned into fawns, and they're basically just stripped of nobility. Like, they're no longer noble because they don't really like fawns in the Divine Kingdom. If you're super animalistic, it's just not cool. Like, you're just not good enough. And so you get turned into a peasant. Yeah, so don't be making the royal family that mad. In fact, in Feymouth, there was a very significant occurrence of something like this. So once upon a time, Feymouth is being taken over, like it's expanding the territory, and there's this lord, and this lord is Lord Lostbrook, and he starts like expanding the land that he owns, and he thinks, you know what, like, why am I even listening to the Divine Kingdom? Like, this is my land, I don't care. If I can amass like enough people on my side and enough like lords underneath me, like, I can just have my own kingdom. So he starts expanding and doesn't tell the kingdom, and the Divine Kingdom, of course, finds out about this, and they are not happy. So what ends up happening to Lord Lostbrook is that all of those underneath him that were planning to go against the kingdom, like, he had all of these lords selected. So what happened to these lords that were considering basically going against the Divine Kingdom, like rising up against it and just claiming their own land for themselves, what ended up happening to them is that they were transmuted. And this happened because the Divine Kingdom at the time, they had this super powerful Sylvan mage. So a mage with like intense nature powers, basically. And they're known as like blood twins. And there's like a magical sigil thing that signifies who they are. So at the time, the Sylvan mage was under the control of the king. And so he used this super powerful mage to transmute every single one of the lords that were going to go against him, and he turned them all into animals. And so like all of those that were opposed to the king, they were turned into like cattle, sheep, horses, guard dogs, and hens and stuff. Then they were all like gifted to the various other lords that exist within Feymouth that are loyal to the king. Most of the lords nowadays in Feymouth, they still have like pedigrees that came from these animals they were given, or they have like taxidermy that is prominently displayed, because like, as weird and uncomfortable as that is, it is like a gift from the king, and they're kind of expected to keep it there. They're kind of expected to keep their pedigrees of guard dogs and such. But yeah, it's basically a symbol of like, don't mess with the Divine Kingdom. Like, you'll get hecked up. Don't don't be thinking of turning against. You have a good thing going, just stay with the king, okay? So that's what happened to all of like the lords that were underneath Lord Lostbrook. Meanwhile, Lord Lostbrook, Lady Lostbrook, their whole family, they were all turned into deer. So like the divine element, mages that are divine, the opposite of being a divine mage is being a deer. Like, that's the spectrum that exists. I don't know if I've gone over the elven spectrum in this video. I've been recording them back to back to back. So if I haven't, I definitely have talked about it in another video. Check those out if you are confused. But yeah, so all of the Lostbrook family, all that had the name Lostbrook, they were turned into deer, and all of these deer were put into the royal gardens, basically. And over time, these deer, these Lostbrook deer, they just like melded together, like they interbred with the deer that existed already in the king's garden. And eventually, like, a future king, like, just didn't vibe with having a garden full of deer, thought it was silly, didn't like it. He just released them all, and now they're, like, hunted for sport. Very little of Lostbrook even exists anymore. They're all just, like, in the blood of wild deer. And, yeah, they're hunted for sport. So it's, like, it's a bad thing. Don't mess with the Divine Kingdom. That is the lesson that has been taught. Yeah, so Faemouth nowadays, it continues to grow northward, but progression through the north has been really slowed down. And the reason for this is because as they go into Sylvan lands, they're running into Sylvan mages who have a lot of power, honestly. Like, Sylvan mages are not to be messed with, but in the past, they were able to like clear so much of the land and take over so much because they had that powerful mage at their disposal. But nowadays they don't, because that original mage is long since passed, very deceased, very not alive nowadays. And the mage that does exist, the new Sylvan mage, has come into the power of the Divine Kingdom. In fact, they kidnapped her. More on that in my video about Nyland. So they have her. However, she is blood twins, so she is connected to the son of a very important person, the Earl of Willrock. And the way that the blood twin thing kind of works is that mages are typically held back by how much magic they're allowed to use, so they can only ever use their excess magic. But when it comes to the blood twins, one twin is able to draw out tons of magic from the other twin, and it is like unlimited in the amounts that they can take. It has consequences, unfortunately, for the twin whose magic is taken away, so that's why they can't really use the Sylvan blood twin right now, because doing so would really mess up the son of an Earl, and Earl Willrock is a good guy. Sorry. He's not a good guy, but in the eyes of the Divine Kingdom, he's done really good at being bad, and, you know, like, he's not going to be punished, but unfortunately, things just kind of remain slow when it comes to the taking over of Faemouth. And also, Faemouth is such a large territory. It extends through a whole kind of array of climates, and they're kind of getting to the northmost climates. And in general, the Lindworm Kingdom is very tropical. And so a lot of the lords and ladies who are coming from these tropical regions are moving up into these cold as heck regions. These like some of them are moving towards like almost subarctic. Like it's not good if you are a little tropical deer baby. So they show up in this new land, excited to be a lord, excited to finally have like an important section of land, a potential province. Like who knows, like maybe one day the king will see their greatness and like allow them more, because they wouldn't do a power grab, of course not, never would do that. So they're excited, and then they're less excited because it's so freaking cold up there, and a lot of them have kind of just like given up and that has also like slowed down the progress that's slow. I was going to say the progress that's occurring, but there's not a lot of progress that's occurring. Within Feymouth, there are tons of different religions. And by tons, I mean there are like 5. Because there's the Lindworm Orthodoxy, which is the main religion of the Lindworm Kingdom. It is the crux of the Lindworm Kingdom. There are also the Sylvan followers of the Lindworm, and then there's Lucent and East Lucent witches and the descendants of Ash. So there's like a whole interesting thing going on with like what exists within Feymouth, because it's such a vast area. There's a lot of variance, which is why I'm not going to go into every single one of them today. I'm going to break them up and talk about them kind of individually in my next videos. I'm gonna see if there's anything else to say. Yeah, it's a pretty diverse region. It's like got a lot of fawns. There's also some drow there. There's some crow harpies. It's wild. There's so much going on in Feymouth, but there's a lot of fawns up north, and we will learn about opinions on said fawns. So this is kind of a chill video. I say this because the only bad things that happened were to the lords of the Divine Kingdom, and you know, heck them, right? Yeah, I'm gonna cut this short. I enjoyed talking. Thank you for listening. Next week, next Monday, we will talk about some of these little like religions and what is happening within Feymouth. But for now, we're chilling, okay? Thank you. Please leave a like, leave a comment, even just a little heart in the comment section. It fills me with life, helps me realize that people actually watch these, and that I am not just talking into the void. Not that I have any problem talking into the void. I currently am doing this. Every time it's not a live stream, I'm basically talking into the void. It's just kind of how time works. Anyways, thank you. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.